Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got a lot of breaking updates today. So the first news is coming from Russia, where the Russian defense minister met with lots of representatives from lots of different countries. So these countries are labeled as Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, Mali, and the Central African Republic. So the Russian Minister of Defense stated that these meetings were developing the cooperation in the defense sector of these countries, the Ministry of Defense reported. So, Laos and Russia actually signed a deal to further increase the defense cooperation with Russia and Laos, so very interesting. After this meeting, the Russian defense minister went to the 2024 Army International Military and Technical Forum. So the head of the Russian Defense Ministry was presented with samples of armaments and military hardware well proven in the war in Ukraine. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, the Russian Defense Minister looking at all these weapons, all the captured vehicles that Russia has captured on the territory of Ukraine. He took a look at promising developments of domestic defense industries, enterprises, robotic systems, and more. So he took a look at new equipment that might be entering the Russian army. So one of these new equipments that might be entering the Russian army is this. So Russia's Rostec has developed a man-portable electronic warfare system to combat mini drones. The equipment is still ongoing testings and preparations for serial production. So the detection unit can operate for up to 12 hours and their suppression range is up to 300 meters depending on the landscape. Detection range is up to 2 kilometers. The weight of the entire complex is approximately 2.5 kilograms. So very interesting news. We've also got news that Shoigu has met with the Serbian Prime Minister, so the Secretary of the Security Council of Russia, Sergei Shoigu, and the Deputy Prime Minister of Serbia, Alexander Volin, met in Moscow. During their meetings, Shoigu stated that Serbia will find many important and necessary items to ensure its security at the Army 2024 forum. So very, very interesting. The next news is coming from Moscow again. So yesterday we stated that the Palestinian president landed in Moscow to talk with Putin. Now we've actually gotten the results of that. So the Palestinian president has met with Vladimir Putin, if you can see here in the bottom left corner. So I'll just go over the statements that both of the leaders stated. So we'll start with Vladimir Putin. He stated that the Russian Federation is monitoring the situation in Palestine. The events in the Middle East do not go unnoticed by Russia, despite the war in Ukraine. The Russian Federation is doing everything to support the Palestinian people in the humanitarian catastrophe that has unfolded in Palestine. Now we're going to move to the statements of the Palestinian president. He stated that the UN was unable to resolve the Palestinian issue due to the pressure from the United States. The Palestinian president also called Russia one of its dearest friends of the Palestinian people. He also announced support for the Russian Federation and thanked it for its position on the Palestinian issue. And the last statement he stated is Palestine counts on Russia's support. We've also got news coming from a former US ambassador to Moscow, John. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, the former US ambassador stated that he admitted that the United States is running out of leverage over Russia. And he quoted, "If there were something we could do to make Russia submit to our will, we would have done it already in Ukraine." So very interesting. The next news is coming from Belgorod region, where a state of emergency has been imposed on the entire territory of the Belgorod region, the governor has stated. He says that the situation is tense due to the attacks of the armed forces of Ukraine on Russian territory in Belgorod region. So very interesting. We got some news coming from the Kursk front, some statistics. So the defense ministry has added that Ukraine's total losses in the Kursk region, the Kursk front, has amounted to 2,030 soldiers, 35 tanks, and 220 other armoured vehicles, and 4 air defence systems with 2 rocket artillery systems, and 14 pieces of field artillery. So very interesting. So quite a bit of losses on the Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian equipment, but we still got news that Ukraine is still pushing into Russian territory, pushing more deep into Russian territory. The next news we've got is coming from Kiev. So the Lithuanian defense minister has made an unannounced visit to Ukraine. During his visit, the defense minister met with the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. They discussed the development of Ukraine's defense industry, further military assistance, and Lithuania's support for Ukraine's European and Euro-Atlantic integration. So very interesting. London has stated that it does not give Kiev permission to use long-range Storm Shadow missiles in an attack on the Kursk region, the Daily Telegraph has stated. The UK's position has not changed. We are providing military assistance to support Ukraine's obvious right to self-defense. We have clearly stated that the equipment provided by the UK is intended for the defences of Ukraine. So very interesting news. We've also got news coming from the Ukrainian Defense Minister Umarov. So if you can see here in bottom left corner, this is the man. So he stated that he is asking France for permission to strike Russian territory with French weapons. So he stated on his social media page, he stated that I insisted on the need to lift the ban on strikes on military targets on the enemy territory, wrote Umarov. So very interesting news. So France has not yet responded publicly about this issue, this statement. We've also got news coming from Ukraine. So Ukraine is not interested in taking control of Russia's Kursk region, the foreign ministry spokesman stated. According to him, the focus is on protecting the lives of Ukrainian citizens who are being attacked by the Russian army from this region. So very interesting. The next news is coming from Latvia. So Latvia is transferring 500 domestically produced drones to Ukraine, the defense minister has stated. So very interesting. So 500 Latvian drones are heading to Ukraine. Now we're going to go to the Italian and the Swiss foreign ministers. So the both foreign ministers have stated that Russia has to be involved in the second peace summit. So I'll keep you updated on that situation there. The next news, probably one of the biggest news, is coming from Israel and Lebanon and Palestine. So about 40 rockets were fired from southern Lebanon into Israel today. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, you can see the Hezbollah rockets going to Israeli airspace. So Hezbollah hit Israel with about 40 rockets. So again, Israel stated that it shot all these missiles down. So no damage was received. Now we're going to go to Hamas. So the movement of Hamas will not participate in the negotiations on a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip scheduled for August 15th. Hamas representatives in Lebanon has stated. So he stated that we will not participate in the negotiations that are scheduled for Thursday. So it seems that the peace in the Gaza Strip and Israel is not coming to an end yet. So Hamas will not be attending the peace negotiations. And probably the biggest news today is that Israel and America have signed probably one of the biggest deals ever. So the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, has approved this huge $20 billion worth of military equipment to Israel. So the Pentagon has stated that it has approved the following sales. Advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles estimated for $102 million. F-15s IA and F-15I plus fighters jets for about $18 billion. So it seems that America is selling all of its old F-15s, and these they probably have a lot of it, so this is probably why it's costing $18 billion. We've also got news that America is supplying Israel with 120mm tank cartridges for about $774 million, and more tactical vehicles and more just general stuff that's valued at $583 million. So huge package that's been approved. So Israel is about to receive a large number of aircrafts, of F-15s, so very interesting, and I'll keep you updated on that. We also got news that Anthony Blinken has cancelled his visit to the Middle East due to the security concerns. So he was meant to travel tonight, but it seems that the Middle East tensions are growing too high, so he has cancelled his trip. The next news is coming from the Taliban, where the Taliban held a major military parade at the former American base in Afghanistan. So this is the exact base I'm talking about. So the Taliban is celebrating 3 years in power on Wednesday with military parades. So they conducted the military parade in this military base here. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, you can obviously see the American vehicles that were left behind during the American evacuation. So very interesting. It seems that they have quite a bit of American vehicles. So the Taliban celebrates 3 years in power. So very interesting. The last news is coming from America, where Biden stated that he expects Iran to back down from possible retaliation strikes against Israel if the Gaza ceasefire deal is reached. And we've also gotten footage of Biden's first public reaction to the Kursk region. He stated that he is discussing the situation in Russia with his staff every 4 to 5 hours. So very interesting. So that's all the news I actually have for you today. I'm Non-Seen News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.